All right, everyone. Well, welcome to class. I know we have a short day. We only got about 10 minutes together, and we're going to be recapping a little bit of what we've been talking about the past few days. Um, uh, what have we gone over so far this past week? What are the two most important words that I've repeated every single day that you guys have had to know? What do you think, Tanya? No, not characterization. Something else that has to do with the way we talk to each other, the way we deal with each other. What is it? Try again. Okay. You're close. That was a good guess. That was a good guess. Almost. But I want you to think of one word. Well, Jimmy's raising his hand. What do you got for me, Jimmy? Exactly. Voice. Voice, voice, voice. Everybody say voice. Good, good. Our voice, the way we use it every single day, is the way we talk to each other, the way we interact with each other, the way we communicate, right? But as we've talked about, we can use this in literature because the greatest writing uses its own voice. It uses words, it uses sounds that we can't hear, but yet when we read this, it feels like someone's talking straight to us. When we read this, it feels like someone has jumped off the page and we're no longer reading a book, but somebody sitting beside us narrating to us an experience that is like any other. Voice. But along with voice comes something else, and it has to do with what your voice does in a work, what words you choose, what they do for the reader, and how they sound, and even what they look like. What is that called? We've been practicing this. I know there's been a lot of literary terms this week. These are the two that I've been trying to get you to remember because these are going to take us into our next short story lesson unit. What are they? Or actually, what is that word? That won't work. Perfect. You got it. You got to raise your hand next time. All right? But tone, 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 tone. And tone is the expression of voice. Tone are the words you've chosen, the words that are on the page, and the way it's constructed to create a feeling. Not only in the work, but the reality is it doesn't matter what the work is feeling, it matters what you're feeling. And the words that authors choose are trying to get you to feel a certain way, trying to get you to think a certain way. And like I said, when it steps out of the page and the person's right next to you telling you about this story, it changes everything. You understand it, you believe it, and you want to take part in the experience it is to read it and hold on to it forever, really. That is why this right here, this book we've been studying, and I know that some of you don't like it, but don't tell me because this is my favorite book, one of my favorite books of all time. Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. Okay? I know we've done a little research on the historical context. We've talked about who Mildred D. Taylor was, where she lived, what she did, what kind of things she wrote, and what her legacy is in writing. But today we're actually getting into the story. And the funny part is, when I say we're getting into the story, we're not actually going to get into the story. Because we're just going to be reading the introduction by Mildred D. Taylor. And the reason I'm starting here is because, a lot of you guys, you skip the author's note, you skip everything that comes before. I know you guys, you just get right into the story. But this story especially has an author's note that sets up the entire story in such a way that you will no longer be looking at characters, you will no longer be looking at writing, you will be looking at an experience and events and treat these people as if they actually were people. They actually existed, that you could sit next to them in class. Although they might be living in a different historical time period, they are you, and they can be you. And there's going to be traits that you're going to see in these characters that you want to become and model for the rest of your lives. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But before we get there, let's review what tone and voice are. Can somebody give me a definition of voice? Close. Try again. One more time. Perfect. All right. Yeah, voice is the way that the writing, the way that the author is speaking to you through the text, the way that you could even consider it a point of style, the way that the atmosphere is developed, the way that the words lift off the page. That's one way of saying it. I know we've Our definition is the way the words lift off the page, and we've been diving into that a little bit, saying that it's not just the way that the words lift off the page, but it's how the writing supports the creation of a person, of a thing that lives outside of the book, which is absolutely awesome. And then somebody give me a definition for tone. Tone. Tanya, perfect. The way something is said or written. Awesome. And let's extend that a little bit. It's not just the way something is said or written, but it's the way something is said or written in order to convey an emotion or a feeling that is to be known in a work. Yeah, that's complicated. Let me say it again. The way something is said or written to convey an emotion or feeling that is known in the work. That is where we're going today. So let's do an example. Let's review just a little bit. Everybody stand up. Stand up, stand up, stand up. The reason I'm so stiff, I'm glad you asked. Well, I'm doing a project and I gotta be in that frame of reference, Gotta still look pretty, all right? If I ain't look pretty, I don't get points on my project. And Mr. Neil Chavi always be looking fine, right? Yeah, that's right. All right, don't get me all distracted. Don't get me all distracted. Everybody stand up, stand up. Okay. On 3, you're gonna say this phrase. Take out the trash now. And put whatever emotion in it. Put whatever you feel. But you're going to tell me what kind of tone that's going on. All right, ready? Remember, take out the trash now. Everybody say it. Say it like you mean it, too. Say it like you mean it. 1, 2, 3. All right, come back. Perfect. That was loud. We probably disturbed the next class, but we'll be all right. We'll be all right. So what kind of tone is in there? Raise your hand. I got too many people speaking at once. What's the tone? Yeah, George, what do you got? It's perfect. Yeah, it's a commanding tone. Not so much angry, like some of you were saying before. Commanding. It's got a force to it. And the way it's said is saying, hey, it's not you may take out the trash, or it's a possibility. It's saying, no, you better take out the trash because you ain't got no other options left. That's part of tone. But that's also a sense of voice, because think about if that one phrase was expanded out into a whole dialogue. Take out the trash now. I'm sick of you always being this way. You're lazy. You're a bum. I wish you'd never been born. All these kind of things. And if that was developed into a dialogue, what kind of voice do we have? Yeah. Patronizing, demeaning. Someone who hates. Someone who kills. Someone who cuts with their words. And do you see how tone and voice are related? Yeah. Does everybody understand that? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if you understand that. Perfect. Those of you who don't, we're going to go through it a little bit. But we're running short on time, so this is where we're going to start. Okay? Everybody take your seats. Take your seats. Good. In your seat. And I want you guys to close your eyes. Close them. And I want you to listen to this introduction. Because this is the key to storytelling. And this is the key to unlocking tone and voice. My father was a master storyteller. He could tell a fine old story that made me hold my sides with rolling laughter and sent happy tears down my cheeks, or a story of stark reality that made me shiver and be grateful for my own warm, secure surroundings. He could tell stories of beauty and grace, stories of gentle dreams, and paint them as vividly as any picture, with splashes of character and dialogue. His memory detailed every event of 10 or 40 years or more before, just as if it happened yesterday. By the fireside in our northern home, or in the south where I was born, I learned a history not then written in books, but one passed from generation to generation on the steps of moonlit porches and besides dying fires in one-room houses. A history of great-grandparents and of slavery and of the days following slavery, of those who live still not free, yet who would not let their spirits be enslaved. From my father, the storyteller, I learned to respect the past, to respect my own heritage and myself. From my father, the man, I learned even more, for he was endowed with a special grace that made him tower above other men. He was warm and steadfast, a man whose principles would not bend, and he had within him a rare strength that sustained not only my sister and me and all of the family, but all those who sought his advice and leaned upon his wisdom. He was a complex person, yet he taught me many simple things important for a child to know. How to ride a horse and how to skate, how to blow soap bubbles and how to tie a knot that met the challenge of the March winds, how to bathe a huge faithful mongrel dog named Tiny, In time, he taught me the complex things too. He taught me of myself, of my life. He taught me of hopes and dreams, and he taught me the love of words. Without his teachings, without his words, my words would not have been. My father died last week. The stories as only he could tell them died with him. But his voice of joy and laughter, his enduring strength, his principles and constant wisdom remain a part of all those who knew him and loved him well. They remain also within the pages of this book, its guiding spirit and total power. Mildred D. Taylor, April 1976. So that got real sad, right? It got real. But here's the thing: we're a little over time, guys. We have about 3 or 4 minutes. What was in that? Tell me, what was in that passage? We didn't even get to the story yet. You realize that this is just the author's note introducing us to who she is, where she comes from, what her life is, and what she hopes it could be. What do you see in this? Give me some hands. Yeah. Right. She really loved her father. What was he good at? Yeah, telling stories. He was a master storyteller. She said he could take something that happened 10, 40 years ago and make it seem like it was just happening now or just happened the other day. That's storytelling. That's the power it can have. What else? What else is in there? She did talk about life in slavery. This is in when Mildred D. Taylor was living, we did the research. She was living in times of slavery, Jim Crow laws, all those things that showed blacks and African Americans that they weren't worthy of being humans and what they were treated like. And she doesn't make that the focus, but she talks about how her father didn't just tell funny stories, didn't just tell stories that were happy. He told life. And that's what good storytelling is. It's not just the happy. It's not just the funny. It's life. It's the sad. It's the hurt. It's everything. But when you can tell it with the tone and in a voice that in the story that makes it seem alive, history is beautiful. Experience is beautiful. And reading and knowing and telling your own story is even more beautiful. What else is there? Give me some more. Give me some more. Right. Her father died. But here's the crux of the issue. Is her father really dead? Physically, yes. You're right. You're right. You're right, Lisa. Yes. But is he really? No? Why not? Yeah. Because she said he died yesterday. Or died last week. But he lives on in the story. So in the story, think about it. She's not just telling a story just to tell the story. She's telling us a story in honor of her father, and she's continuing the tradition of storytelling that he's given her. That's what good storytelling does. It continues to make stories. Think about it, you guys. Think about you guys. Honestly, you guys come from stories. Talk to your parents. Talk to your relatives. Ask them what their story is. And I guarantee you, you'll find yourself, when you talk about yourself and you tell stories, it'll be parts of what they had going on. Because stories don't come from nowhere. They are passed down and they are built upon. You are not alone. You build upon your family stories, good or bad, and you're always building your own story. But it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from those who were before you. So this is the key, tone and voice, tone and voice. We have about 1.5 minutes. Tone and voice. Tone. How was this written? Think about it. You guys said all these things. You were able to catch what happened, but what is that tone? Yeah, admiration. Sadness, yeah, there could be some sadness, some grief, yeah. This could be hard to write. Maybe she cried a little bit saying, man, I'm remembering my dad. I'm bringing him back to life, but it hurts so much to have him living beside me in spirit, but not living with me anymore in this world. You never know. Could be spiritual like that. Just saying. I don't know what you believe. I'm just saying. What else is there? Hope? Yeah. Tell me where. Yeah, when she talks about that her father's stories are going to live on and they've given her a perspective and a life, yeah, absolutely. And where's the voice? Yes, all up in it, yes. Tone and voice, the hard part is they're inseparably separable. They're two different things, but yet they combine so in such an interwoven way that you can't get around it. But here's the key, guys. We have a couple seconds left. Here's the key. I know it's one of those weird minimum days where we only have 10 minutes per class, but this is the key. The reason we read this introduction, and we're going to read it again tomorrow,